And welcome to Pop Culture POV. I'm Ronnie Jr., joined by Benny Adams, a pop culture
What's up?
guru of sorts. One of your favorite things to talk about is MTV's The Challenge. Why do you love that show so much? And then I want to get into the show that you've created, sort of recapping that show. What is it about The Challenge that makes you go crazy?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on, first of all. Really appreciate it, man. Yeah, like I have been watching the challenge since I can remember, and I fell in love with the challenge through the real world because before the challenge there was the real world and there was road rules. And so I was a huge fan of the real world. And then I heard about the challenge and I'm like, wait, so all of these people from the real world are coming together, living under one roof and competing in challenges? Like, sign me up. Of course I'm gonna watch this. So I've been watching it since like the early 2000s and I haven't stopped. And literally each season gets better and better. It never stops getting good. So I'm loving it. It's amazing.
And that's to say it's at about 36 seasons now, right? Is it 36? Which is
Yeah, we're on season 36 now, man. It's crazy. And it's like, it's not, I don't think it's slowing down anytime soon.
when The Real World came out in 1992, as long ago as that was, I thought if anything, The Real World would be the superior show. Like, I know that after The Real World came Road Rules, which was sort of a
Mhm.
beginning stage of the challenge, but I never thought the challenge would become what it is. I feel like it might be one of MTV's biggest shows. Like, does that show do better than Jersey Shore or what is it, Teen Mom and all that stuff?
I don't know the specific numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised if the challenge is one of the biggest shows. I want to say that it does beat Jersey Shore, but then again, like don't quote me on that because I don't know the specific rating numbers. But I do know Teen Mom is pretty popular on MTV, so I would say if I would take a guess, it would be between um Teen Mom and the challenge.
Okay. Yeah, because I know Wednesday nights, I mean, the show itself isn't just an hour, it's like an hour and a half. So to know that they go a full hour and a half each and every episode means there's a lot of content there. It's a great season. This season, do you like the style of the season? Double agents, do you like the whole spy, rogue agent kind of vibe? Does that work for you?
I love it, man. I love it. And it's like each season the show keeps reinventing itself and I respect that. And I will say I was a little worried about this season. I didn't think I would actually like this season because it seemed very rushed. I remember hearing rumors when the cast was selected and they were quarantining, and then probably like 2 months later, we get a trailer, and I'm like, wait, this was really fast. How good is this gonna be?
Hmm.
And then I see the premiere episode, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is so good. Like, how do they do it? And literally after each episode, like I am, or during each episode, I am literally yelling at my computer screen
Mm.
because something is going down that's making me like yell at the cast, telling them to do this and do that, and if the show can make you do that, that means it's a good show.
I have a couple show notes that I want to ask you about, or I'm gonna give you my opinion, and we could go from there. So I'm gonna tell you one thing I
Definitely.
do like about this season. This, of course, speaks to my age, as I am I'm a delicious 40-year-old. So when I hear the '80s music that they decided to play this season, that really does it for me. I know the other seasons they didn't necessarily do that, but I think on the premiere there was like three '80s like new wave songs in a row. And I think they've
Hmm.
sort of, for the most part, have stuck to that formula. And I think that is a great addition. That's my first note. My second note is I wanted to ask you, what did you think about reality TV in sort of like a post 2020 vibe? I feel like the show is much more concentrated this season on, the strategy, rogue agents, almost like
Hmm.
double crossing. But what they're not doing, what they've done before, obviously, is like, there in the past there's been a lot of like at the house or wherever they're staying, you know, hookups or fighting and stuff of that nature. Do you think that was because 2020 was already enough kind of emotions, or why do you think we're not really seeing as much of that? And if so, are you okay with the fact that they went to this new strategic version of the show?
Well, so going back to the music question, I love the music.
Yes.
They started. I think they started doing that. I want to say last season with Total Madness. It was either Total Madness or World of Worlds 2. It was one of those seasons where they started doing that, and I absolutely love that. And I think they're continuing to do that because they got a very positive reaction. And I want to say, like, I don't know for sure, but I feel like the producers on that show see that, a lot of fans watching this show, have been with the whole real world road rules, the challenge world since it first premiered in, what was it, 1992? And so a lot of those people who were watching in 1992 were probably like 18, 19, 20, meaning they grew up listening to 80s music. So it's
Yep.
a smart move to put that in there. In terms of reality TV changing in 2020, I will say last night's episode was the first episode where there was a lot of drama going down. There was a lot of fighting, not physical fighting, but vocally arguing with people. I do remember a couple seasons ago, the challenge got a lot of flack for not showing enough physical challenges and focusing on the drama in the house. And so I think they're trying to find a balance of showing like actual challenges and people competing and then showing drama. But yeah, I haven't seen, I can't remember the last time I've seen like major hookups. There was like probably one major hookup last season.
I kind of like it, and here's my example as to why. And I know you watch other reality shows as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the early people. This is another network, but we'll talk about it just for the points. I was one of the
Mm-hmm.
early fans of Real Housewives of Potomac, right? But season 5
Okay.
was their biggest season, but yet it was a lot of fighting, and it also got really emotional. But like it just was too much. And what I was saying is, I think reality TV is very smart. I'm not sure if the challenge actively did this, but I think they're very smart not to give us too much drama. I understand
Mm-hmm.
drama does drive ratings, but at the same time, like everyone has lived a really rough 2020. So the last thing you want to do is see people on a reality show fighting over spilt milk. You know what I mean? So to me,
Yeah.
this was, and I don't watch the challenge as much as you, although this season 36, I am watching each and every episode, listening to all the podcasts that recap the show. And I just think it's a smarter move for now. Like I think we could get back to
Yeah.
reality TV where you bring in some of the shit stirs back into
Mm-hmm.
the house. I mean, Devin is pretty much already that guy, but
Yeah.
I like it being focused on strategy. I think we could work our way towards all the mess that used to be. It feels like a better show. It's more strategic, and it's a really great cast. Speaking of cast, on this season, who are some of the cast members that do speak to you? Who do you enjoy? Who do you root for? And also, who have you interviewed?
So I am rooting for hardcore Leroy. And the reason why I'm rooting for Leroy is because this is his final last season of the challenge. He said that he was retiring after this season. The guy has never won a season of the challenge, and he's been doing it for quite a long time. And he was very close to winning on season 34, World of Worlds 2. He didn't get that W. So I'm really hoping that he makes it to the finals and he finally gets one. That'll be amazing. On his last season, he gets that W. As far as people who I have talked to,
And briefly, your show. Where do you give us an example of what the show is about?
yeah, so I created, it's brand new. I created a show called Challenge Reality News, where right now it's just episode recaps about the challenge, and I'm discussing it with someone who has been on the challenge, either in the present or in the past, or just a reality star in general who is a fan of the challenge. And it's been really good so far. Like we've had some amazing conversations about their thoughts on the show, their thoughts on the episode, what they thought of this player and that player. So it's been fun, and it's been really cool.
Yeah, search that on YouTube. That's of course a really great recap, but also with the interviews of cast members, it does make it fun. And that's cool that you're
Yeah.
starting off this project. You of course sort of got into the vein. Was this back through the AfterBuzz days when you started getting your urge to talk about the challenge a lot? Is that where it began?
Yeah, I want to say it began there because I did the challenge after show, and so I did that for, I want to say it was 2 seasons, for season 34 and season 35, and I fell in love with it. It was so much fun. We interviewed some cool people. This season was coming up, and I was like, why not keep on doing this, so I started the podcast. But the thing is, I don't want to just talk about the challenge because I love so much reality TV. I am addicted to reality TV like no
What
other.
other shows do you enjoy?
Big Brother,
Okay.
Survivor, Love Island, The Circle, The Bachelorette, The Bachelor, which I actually just started watching both of those this season. Instantly got hooked to them. But
I'm surprised they didn't bring back The Circle, because that was a show that started off 2020. That and that other love show, I can't remember what it was called. Where they what was that one
they're
called?
the one on Netflix.
Yeah, those two Netflix shows. Are they bringing them back?
They're bringing The Circle back because I remember seeing a casting call for season 2 a couple of months ago.
That's like the perfect quarantine show. You would think they'd crank out
Exactly.
3 episodes. And Michelle Buteau as the host is like the funniest thing ever. So,
Oh, she's great. She's
Yeah.
amazing.
Uh,
And then that other show, I haven't heard anything about it, but I'm trying to remember the name of it also, actually. But that was a good show as well.
yeah, with quarantine, these are shows that could be done real easily. Okay, back to the challenge. Here's what I want to say. I personally enjoy when they keep when they keep some of the older people there. Like, I know maybe some people like the younger, fresh cast members, but I like to see, and CT's not always been my favorite, but I like to see him still there. I like to see Anissa still there,
Yeah.
which leads to my question. This season, when Ashley came back, there was that moment, you know how MTV loves to edit. There was that moment like, oh, who's coming back? Who's coming back? It turns out it was Ashley. And of course, she was shown the door so quickly after. I like her,
Yeah.
but it leads me to ask you a question. When Ashley came back, it was cool, but what cast member would have been ideal for you to see back onto the show?
Oh man, let's see who I got eliminated by then. That's a good question because I feel like a lot of people left. Like we had Natalie that left, that one rookie girl who left. I would say,
Well, what if you could bring back other, like, people from the challenges from back in
that
the
not
day?
that are not on this
Yeah,
season.
because I think of like Emily from Rural DC. I feel like she was
Yeah,
on a bunch of seasons and then she was gone. I
I'm.
selfishly, when they said, "Oh, somebody's coming back," I was like, "Oh my God, is she finally dusting off her boots and coming back?" I thought Coral was coming back. I was like, I know
Oh,
Coral.
I wish.
She may not do it in the challenge, but like Coral is the show. Like she created this, you know.
Right. Well, if
Her,
I could just pick anyone to come back, I am a huge fan of Jenna. Huge fan of Jenna.
okay.
And so I think that would have been really cool. The funny thing is, when Ashley came back, I knew she was coming back because I run a fan page on Instagram, a challenge fan page called Challenge News Now. And so a follower DM'd me and said, "Oh, Ashley's coming back," before the show aired. And I was like, "Oh, well, that's great. I know what happens."
Yeah, I don't mind her. I don't mind her, but it is always extremely shocking as a viewer to think that she barely made but what 2 or 3 episodes on her original San Francisco season. So to be called $1 million Mitchell, it's like such a shock to me. Like every time I'm
Well,
like, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, on MTV's The Real World, because she kind of
mhm,
had a little bit of an attitude. I think she left to go see a boyfriend or something like that. Like in my mind, I'm thinking she's never going to make it to a challenge, let alone do as well as she has. But
right.
she's the if I'm correct, I believe she's the highest ranked money earner for the entire series.
Yeah, I want to say she is the highest ranked female female money earner of the challenge,
That's
because she won
crazy.
that one where it was $1 million, and then she won another one. So she's won two, and the girl is a beast. You know, she deserves all the credit that she gets. Like she's good. She's good at finals. She's
Mhm.
very good at finals. Challenges, it can be 50-50 with her. But she has one thing I respect about Ashley is she has a lot of heart, and she's great TV, you know?
Oh
So she's
yeah.
a great competitor and she's great TV.
I have my when I watch, it's like watching with popcorn because it's so addictive. Watching someone like Devin, Devin doesn't always have great character, but Devin is such good TV. Like so,
Yeah.
it's even if he doesn't win, he always holds his own. I want to talk about some old cast members. Maybe because you're following this bit of television. Um,
Hmm.
some of them may get older, go on to have a family, and may not want to come back. But I want to just ask a couple people that were fun for me to watch,
Hmm.
and like if you have an update or an opinion. I always loved, and I don't know if she was the most physically, fit as far as winning, but I always thought Jen from Denver was excellent
I
reality
remember her.
TV.
I
Yeah.
remember her.
A Raider girl once, then Denver Real World, and she always made a season really, really fun.
Yeah, Jen, she actually, from her Instagram page, I've never interviewed her before, but from her Instagram page, she just had a kid. I want to say she's married now. And yeah, it would be really cool to see her back. Have you heard about the OG season
Well,
that's supposed to be happening?
I would see it on Twitter. I'd see like Mark Long was talking about it, and I didn't know if it was gonna happen because a lot of the names that would come up, like even Teresa was one of them. So I was
Yeah,
like, oh, did that just mean certain OGs came back? But Teresa's not really an OG. Um,
right.
so yeah, what's the update on that? Because I wouldn't mind seeing it.
So MTV, Viacom, Being Married, they haven't made any official announcement. It's just been um, rumors, pretty much. But these rumors are usually true. I haven't really looked at the cast list because I want to be surprised when I actually do see it. But I do remember Mark saying that on Twitter that this is gonna happen. We've been meeting and blah blah blah. So I do think that it's going to happen. So it'll be really cool to see some OGs back on the
Oh,
show.
you mentioned Mark, so now I'm thinking about another messy person to bring back. What about Robin from Florida? Robin, San Diego, Robin. I think she's always
Yeah.
good TV too.
Or what about Beth?
Oh,
Beth
she's the
is
worst. She's
very
the
good
worst of them
TV.
all. Yeah,
I
the worst.
love Beth. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's at a certain age, so I feel like she's, no one's necessarily taking her seriously competitive wise. But when you watch those old seasons, some of them are even on Netflix. Beth is just gonna always be Beth. I think she was
Right.
one. I think she was one that like even staged a bit of a strike when they did like the 10 or 15 year reunion or something. Like she's always
Really.
up to no good. Yeah, yeah. It was on back when True Hollywood Story was out. They talked about that, how Beth was gonna stage a strike, and if we are not paid, we're not doing it or something like that. But
She's
she's
great TV.
she's great TV.
And
Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, and this is why I think people love seeing, these OGs come back to the show, the actual challenge. Like you said, Anissa and CT, because not only did, a lot of people grow up with, these cast members, but you get to see how they change throughout the years. Anissa was like 19 years old when she was on The Real World. And now I want to say like she has to be like in her mid 30s, maybe late 30s.
Yep.
And it's so cool just seeing how much, you know, their personalities have changed, and it's just I love it.
Well, that's why I say I feel like sometimes MTV gears towards like we got to do something young and fresh and who's moving big on social media. And I get that obviously. But I like to see some of the older people. And I'm going to just take a little side note here and say maybe an unpopular opinion, but I say it all the time. I say this all the time. You're either with
Uh-huh.
it or you're not. Because you mentioned Anissa, I think
Hmm.
Chicago, the original Chicago, not the skeleton Chicago, was one of the best real world seasons they've ever had. I talk about that season all the time. I know
Who
it's
was on Chicago? I
oh, let me
can't
give it.
remember that
Let
season.
hold on. Let me give it to you. So it was Kyle, who of course is huge in sports podcasting.
Okay.
I think he did some soap opera work as well, but he's like a really big name in the world of sports and podcasts and even TV hosting. They had Anissa. They had Chris. Chris was battling alcoholism a little bit. They had
Okay.
Carrie. Carrie was a little not as compelling, but she was still a good cast member. They had what was his name? Was it Theo? Was it Theo? I
Hmm.
believe it was Theo from Riverside, California. And then they had Tanya from Walla Walla, Washington, and
Tanya, yeah.
my absolute favorite, Kara Khan. I thought she was one of the best cast members. She said that epic line, "Did I really just say seal the deal?"
Uh-huh.
One of the greatest cast members, but she never did a challenge at all. Not once, not one time. So I'm disappointed
Yes.
about that.
See, man, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that. Like
Well, give it to me. Who do you got?
I loved, my favorite Real World was Real World Las Vegas, the very first one.
Mm.
That was my favorite one. Like you had Trishelle, you had Steven. Like I don't know, it was just something about that cast. And then when they brought them back for a reunion episode, that was epic.
Talking about Vegas for a moment. So when you do your YouTube channel, that is fun, of course, but you come from a little bit of a broadcasting background. What work did you do in Las Vegas? And are you from there or were you just working out there?
Yeah, I'm not from Las Vegas. I'm from here, from LA. I got After I graduated from college, I majored in journalism, and so if you want to, you know, go into news, you kind of have to move far away and start out a small market, and you know, kind of like get your bearings and make mistakes, and then you know, move to higher markets once you've gotten a little bit better, once you've gotten that experience. And so I started out in Macon, Georgia, and I was there for 2 years. And then I got a news producer job in Las Vegas. Instantly took that because I wanted to get closer to home. So it was only like a 4 hour drive. I was there for 3.5 years. And while I was there, towards the end of my time, they gave me my own entertainment type of online show where I talked about the biggest trending entertainment stories happening across the country. So it was really fun. It was like my first experience in front of the camera. Well, not my first experience in front of the camera, but my first experience at like a job in front of the camera.
Mm.
So it was cool, and it was definitely blessed I was able to get that opportunity.
Yeah, and you take that skill set to AfterBuzz and then to your own channel, et cetera, et cetera. So that's always
Yeah,
valuable. I worked in Vegas as well, only for one
nice.
year. KVEG 97.5 out there. So I know
That's
Vegas,
awesome.
but not 3 years worth of Vegas. I could only do 1 year, and I was like, this is crazy.
Dude, you know, it's so funny because when I moved out there, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna live on the strip and get an apartment on the strip, and I'm gonna go out
Oh,
and
and
I'm gonna
you should never
party
live.
all
You should never live by the strip. I live
right.
near the Palm. I lived like walking distance from the Palms. Like you should. That is no. That's a terrible idea.
Right. And
But
so I ended up not moving to the strip. I don't know if you've heard of this, but I moved to Summerlin.
yeah, I'm
And
familiar.
after a year there, I was like, you know what? I love Vegas, but there's only so much you can do on the strip
Yeah.
because Vegas is a big little city. You
Oh yeah.
know, from the outside looking in, it seems like this huge city. But once you're actually in the city, it's not that big.
It's also another thing, and I also grew up in California as well. So it's a lot of like you're trying to do your job, you're trying to grow within your respective career out there. You be it at that CW network, me at 97.5, and you always have people from LA that will be in town. So you're sort of like in party mode with them, but then you're trying to balance your
Mm,
own career. It was I mean, luckily when I did it I was only 24 years old, but it felt taxing on the body, I could tell you that. But it's a cool
yeah,
city and I think it has grown. I mean, obviously the Raiders play there now, obviously like J-Lo, Brittany, like Janet Jackson, like everyone has shows
yeah,
there now. So I think Vegas has potential, and I always say that because if radio ever wants to put me in Vegas, I will never turn down a good check, not a bad check but a good check.
yeah.
So let's keep all the doors open. My last question about the challenge and even the casting process. You mentioned you like Big Brother, and I watched the last season of Big Brother, the All Star season. It
Hmm.
seemed like, I don't know how accurate this was, but it seemed like there was some cast members that may have been set to quarantine but didn't necessarily make the cut because of that, and other cast members probably went into the show. I don't know how legit that was, but that was some of the talks, and that does
For
make
Big
sense
Brother,
for Big Brother this last season that just
yeah.
happened. I'm wondering, do you think that happened at all with the challenge? Like, was this cast that we see the cast that they chose, or did they have any alternates?
Well, yeah. So I know for Big Brother, I remember Julie, the host, saying that there were a couple of people who did test positive for COVID and they had to switch them out. For the challenge, I did not hear any rumors about anyone contracting COVID. I know they do have alternates when they do the casting. So in case someone does have COVID or someone decides to drop out last minute, they have someone that can come in. But I haven't heard any rumors about anyone getting COVID and them being dropped. I did hear rumors that, people were dropped from the show before it started airing, but that happens every season. And those
Mm,
people were probably alternates that were going to fill in case someone did get COVID.
gotcha. And lastly, let's get to the bottom of this because I'm watching, and I don't watch every season like you do. My brother also
Uh-huh.
watches every season. So you watch every season, my brother watches every season. I'm kind of like an in and out with the show. I like it a lot, but I don't always follow it. However, this season I'm following. So I need
Uh-huh.
to ask you, this whole Fessy and Nelson and Corey thing, whose side are you on? And can I just tell you from the outside looking in, because I don't watch every season, it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like Fessy did anything wrong outside of good gameplay. And it does
Yeah.
feel like Corey is complaining a lot. And I used to think Corey was one of my favorite contestants, but over the years, he finds, I'll say it like this: he finds time to complain more than he finds time to win, and that's
Uh-huh.
where I'm at with Corey. What are your thoughts?
So here's my thing because I was stuck in the middle of it. I couldn't figure out if I was with Fessy or if I was with Corey. And so this is how I think about the whole situation. I think that this is a game. Once you go into the challenge house, you're not in the real world anymore. You're competing
Yeah.
for $1 million. Yeah, you're competing with your friends, but you're still competing for $1 million. The rules in the real world don't really count when you're in the challenge house. For $1 million, I, if I would play my game the best way that would get me further to that final. So I don't put any fault on Fessy for what he did. Was it really, a shady move? Yes, it was. But at the same time, it's a game. And, Johnny Banana said it best. You have your challenge persona, and then you have your real life persona.
Mm.
And then once you leave that challenge house, that's when you get back to real life, and you can't really hold grudges. Now, saying that, if Corey decides to do the same thing with Fessy, and he's like, you know what, Fessy, we're all good. A couple of weeks later, stabs Fessy in the back and throws him in against someone who he thinks can beat Fessy. Fessy can't be mad at that, you know? So
Yeah.
it's how you have to be able to play the game, not get your feelings hurt, and you have to be able to separate your real life from your challenge life.
And I could understand Corey and Nelson being frustrated about it, but when I watched the show this season, I didn't see Fessy doing anything that was that crazy backhanded. That's all I'm saying in regards to the show. But I do like Corey and Nelson. In fact, I think Nelson is a great character for TV.
Love Nelson.
He shows a certain vulnerability. Like, he tries to be ambitious and tough and all these good things, but he shows a bit of a vulnerability. And I feel like sometimes on these shows, like, everyone has to be top dog. And I feel like Nelson just does his best. And that's nice to see on TV as a bit of duality. You know, you got Devin, who feels like he walks on water. Josh is a little bit of a hothead. So Nelson is good TV, but I couldn't get to the bottom of what I thought about that situation. I was like, what did Fessy do that was so wrong? Switching up. Go ahead.
Oh, it's so funny that you said that about Nelson, because Corey, he was on Instagram Live where he was talking about the people who come on the challenge, and he was saying there's some people who come on just to have time, just to have fun, just to have some screen time. But Nelson, he comes on to play. Like, he loves this game. He wants to make it to the final. Some people just come on to collect those checks,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I love Nelson, because you can tell, like, he puts his heart into this game, and like he's actually there to win.
Yeah, I think we need more cast members like Nelson. Like I said, I was critical of that situation, but I like him on on reality TV, because a lot of, like I say, the other reality shows, everyone is sort of becoming a caricature of themselves sometimes, but Nelson doesn't give me that. Nelson seems like the one of the cast that you'd like, you'd want to confide in, or not confide in, but you get what I'm saying. Like, he has a warm spirit about him. So I do like him. And that line that we talk about does make me think about another show. So go back to this last summer. I think the line with Game and when it is personal really was more so the Davon situation with Davon and David, when Davon made it clear, like, if this is what's happening, I need to know about it. Now, that I can side with Davon, the cast member, who I don't know if you recall the situation this last season.
Devon and on Big Brother.
Yeah, who was the girl? I don't even remember her name. Squeaky voice girl. What is her name?
Nicole.
Yes.
Nicole. Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is these are two similar situations, like the whole friendship thing or the give me your word thing, but then it is a game.
Right.
I think in that situation, I was like, okay, I see where Davon's coming from, where like we should divert from like too strategic gameplay, because this was like a serious issue beyond the show. So in that 100%. Regard, I was a little like, ooh, what's the girl's name again? Squeaky voice. What's her name? Boring Nicole. Girl. Boring Nicole. Yes. Always what is it? Inferior to Janelle the Queen. That should be her title. Ouch.
Janelle, yeah, man, I 100% agree with you. 1000% agree with you, because even Davon said, the difference with her situation was because she was asking Nicole to tell her the truth for a personal matter, getting rid of gameplay. She was asking her human being to human being, because she did not want to be on camera, as a Black woman, being upset at another Black man, and if he didn't even do the deed.
Yeah. No, I think it was a compelling bit of shows, those episodes in a row, because there was a lot going on there. The one thing I'll say that was positive is Davon won America's Favorite House Guest, which I was so
love
incredibly happy for. Like, she's not just because she has that really funny what is it, a GIF where she's coming out the house. Like, she's just so fantastic. Does she ever come back to the challenge, or is she done with that, you think?
I don't think she's going to come back. Like, I feel like I remember her saying or tweeting that she's retiring from Big Brother. And then whenever people ask her on Twitter, she's coming back to the challenge, she pretty much says she's not. But you never know, things can change. Like, she was a very, very popular cast member on both the challenge and Big Brother. So I would love to see her back.
What was your thoughts on David? And do you think David could at some point be a great challenge castmate?
I think David would be a great challenge castmate. On Big Brother, I was rooting for him. The reason why I was rooting for him is because even though he had played Big Brother before, because it was All Stars, he really hadn't played Big Brother, because the season that he was on, he was kicked off first. Like, he didn't really get to play the game. So he was coming into the game pretty much as a rookie, and he really didn't understand the game. And so I put myself in his shoes, and I'm like, all right, well, if I was on Big Brother and this is my first season, I would be the same way. Like, I wouldn't know what to do, you know? And so overall, like, I liked him. I was rooting for him. Not as hard as I was rooting for, like, Davon or Bailey, but yeah.
Did you like the winner overall, Corey?
Cody, yeah.
Cody, I said the wrong name. Cody,
Overall, out of those three, it was like Cody, Nicole, and Enzo. Yeah, Cody was the person who was the most deserved.
Yeah, I liked Enzo. I liked Enzo on his original season more than the All Stars. Like, he didn't feel, I didn't connect with him on this last one. So Cody definitely had to be the winner. But going back to David, David, to me, I hope the challenge, casting sees him as a good fit, because he did something that was tough. No one showed him respect forever, and he just had to continue to do good gameplay. In fact, when he won that challenge, I think it was in the dark challenge where they were searching for things, and when he won and he got all happy, like, that was such a good TV moment, for reality TV. So I hope reality TV has that mix. Like I said, I watch The Housewives, so it is messy. I get it, but I want a little duality between it. You know what I mean? Like, we need to show some heart, and I think the challenge is doing that. The challenge is like just a show that is a process, and you have to do the challenge, and there's a lot of vulnerability, and I enjoy it. Any last words, or here, let me throw something at you. Of the cast members you've not interviewed in Challenge World, who is somebody that who you would like to interview?
Oh man, there's so many. Like, definitely want to interview Johnny Bananas. The dude is a goat. Did
you like him early on? Like, did you like him back in his Real World season and all that?
I didn't dislike him or like him early on. He was just there for me. But then when I saw, like, this guy keeps on coming back season after season, he's getting more airtime, and he's making more moves, and he's starting to, like, win all these seasons. I was like, all right, I'm liking this guy.
Yeah. And now he's the host on First Look, NBC affiliate show. Yeah.
He's making moves, and he won that one reality show, I think Worst Cooks in America. I think that's what it's called.
I didn't watch it, but yeah. Oh, how funny.
Yeah, so he's doing work. He's definitely using his platform wisely, and it's so funny because, like, remember the saying, your 15 minutes of fame when it comes to reality stars. I think reality stars have figured how to expand that 15 minutes of fame, with social media booming like no other. It's so easy to expand their platform and just to do other things outside of reality TV that can get them well noticed by fans.
Any cast members that are doing it thirsty, though?
Doing it thirsty? Like, what do you mean?
Like, they're putting themselves out there, but they look a little thirsty. Is there anyone that comes to mind?
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, what about Nelson's old girlfriend? I liked her in the show X on the Beach, I think it was called.
Girlfriend. Oh, why am I forgetting her name? I know who you're talking about, though.
I mean, sometimes she seems a little thirsty, maybe. I don't know.
You know what? What I say to that is to each their own.
Oh, so you're far too uplifting. Get out of here.
You gotta do what you gotta do, and my whole thing is, like, as long as you're not hurting anyone, then it's not a big deal to me.
You're
I'm
actually
just too
right.
Nice.
No, I'm just old and grumpy. I am just so salty. You have no idea, but I'm gonna get it together. X on the Beach. Do you watch that show too? And I wonder if it's
I
coming back.
so I've only watched X on the Beach Peak of Love. And I
Yeah.
only watched that because Marlon was on it, and then Jemmy was on it. Huge fan of Jemmy. That's another person
She's
who I
funny.
really want to interview. She's great. I love that girl. So I watched because those two were on there. I watched a couple episodes, but other than that, I haven't really seen X on the Beach. I haven't even seen Are You the One?
Oh,
I need to start. I hear good things about it though.
I don't think I'll ever watch that one. X on the Beach is surprisingly pretty good based on cast. Like the season 1, I didn't really look at. Season
Yeah.
2, I thought was so good, and then season 3, Aubrey O'Day, who to me is reality
Yeah.
TV royalty, put her in the the Hall of Fame. I tried to watch season 3, but it was a terrible cast. So a lot of times these shows, and I guess the challenge as well, if the cast is not cohesive or doesn't really work together, it's not that good. So I didn't watch season 3 at all, but I did watch
Uh-huh.
peak whatever it was called.
Peak of Love, yeah.
And I thought that was a well-rounded cast. You also had Nicole from the challenge, she was on there.
Yeah, she was
it,
on there.
it was a pretty good show. So MTV's got some good things. I hope that one day they bring the Real World back, or a reincarnation of a Real World like show, where you
Well, so they brought it back in it was I want to say 2019. It was on Facebook Watch. It was in Atlanta.
mm.
I don't know how well it did, but they didn't have any of those people from the Atlanta cast on the challenge.
Oh, that's
I'm
weird.
Yeah, I'm here. Well, a lot of people from the most recent Real Worlds, Explosion, all those Real Worlds, a lot of the cast members weren't on the challenge or didn't get called to be on the challenge. So
That's true.
I
That last season that ever aired on MTV, I guess, was Seattle, right? Explosion.
mhm.
And none of those people ever made the cut. How
I
funny.
want to say Kayla is the last one
Mm,
from the Real World from her season to be on the challenge. Any season after Kayla, I don't think they've been on.
gotcha.
I
Well,
could be wrong, but
I think the thing to think about with that show is Real World was a great show. So was Road Rules. So is the
mhm.
challenge.
Oh, and so I completely forgot. They're also doing, I'm hearing rumors that they're going to be doing like Real World specials where like they have reunions for each season, and I think they're starting off with their first season with New York, and they're
Oh,
filming with their season 1 cast.
oh, do you know how good that show is? I just rewatched it during quarantine, like in the summer. I
Uh-huh.
don't want to say it still holds up. It's just, I mean, I'm 40 years old, and I sort of remember the 90s so crisp,
Mhm.
I thought it was a good show. I thought the cast was very, very, very good. So I think that's a really cool idea. And if they just
Exactly.
move down, they had some great early seasons. Of course, Tammy Roman is a bit of a legend in reality TV.
Basketball Wives, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'll put her in the Hall of Fame as well. And yeah, they should go season by season. They were good at the beginning. I think the moment it started to lose steam for me was when they went to, I think they had a Cancun season, and it wasn't the nature of the city. It was just the cast to me didn't really work. But
You know what's so funny? That's the season where I stopped watching.
well, there you
I
go.
think I didn't watch Cancun, and then I started watching it again with Jordan and Marlon season.
That was a good season. They had that girl, they had Avery who got in a fight
Naya,
with,
yeah, and
you know,
Avery.
and we always got to give an honorable mention because Avery held her own in that fight, didn't she? Gosh,
I remember that fight. Yeah,
I have
that was
chills because physically, pound for pound, you're like, oh, there's no way. But Avery,
mhm.
I would hate to see Avery against somebody her own size.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I want to say like they're all like friends, or at least like they're all like cordial with each other. I don't think there's any bad blood with any of the roommates, but which
what
is
is
cool.
what is the final update? Because I felt like I heard back and forth. I thought like Tori wasn't with Jordan, but then like at the end of her elimination episode, she goes, "Oh, I get to go back with Jordan."
Yeah.
What is that? What is the current like?
So they are not together anymore. Tori actually did an interview on a podcast, saying that, they had broken up. Or actually before the interview, they both released statements saying they were no longer together. Tori did an interview talking a little bit more in depth of what happened in the breakup, and it seemed like Jordan wasn't too happy about it. He wanted to keep everything private,
Mm.
so he put something on his social media saying he wished it would have been kept quiet. So yeah, but they're no longer together. What's interesting though, and I'm not sure if she was being sarcastic or not, but Tori was on Instagram Live, and someone asked her, would you ever do an Exes season with Jordan? And she said she would love to do an Exes season with Jordan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that would
They
be pretty cool though.
they kind of seem like they would make it in the long, like long term. Like maybe this is just a hiccup. She's great TV. She's a great competitor. With that being said, I was okay with seeing her be eliminated, because even the best competitors need to kind of, get humbled a little bit. And
Hmm.
also, indirectly, this has nothing to do with Tori. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I cannot get enough of Big T. I know she is not necessarily.
Amazing.
Oh, so you agree? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And I know she's not like challenge material, She's not that tough, but that was a
Well, and
heck.
that's the thing though. Like, what is challenge material? Because what I like about the challenge is it's proven that it can't just all be about your physical strength.
Mm,
You got to have some mental aspect in it,
that's
and
true.
I think that's where Big T falls. Big T is very, very smart. That episode when her and CT won that challenge, and she was the reason why Tori and Anissa were down in elimination.
Hmm.
She didn't like that these two girls were calling her and some of the rookie girls layups. So Big T, she used her smarts and she was able to get them out.
I don't. A lot of the rookie girls, I'm having trouble really like remembering them. I'll be honest, but I think that
Uh-huh.
girl Amber, she's got room to stay. Like whether she does good on this
Which
season or.
one?
Oh, is that her name, Amber? The one that got in
There,
the.
so Amber M, or there's Amber M, the smaller one, and then there's Amber B, the one who
Okay,
got in the argument with Teresa.
okay, not her. She's fine. That's but the one that got in the argument with Devin, her.
Oh,
I
Amber M.
Oh,
Amber M, yeah.
she is good for this show. I'm gonna call it right now. This was her rookie season, but in my opinion,
Uh-huh.
I believe they bring her back. Oh, she's got potential. I see it.
And it's crazy too because she's been getting a lot of hate from some of the cast members on social media. Fessy calling her a layup, and it's been I've been reading him, and I just feel I feel kind of bad for the girl, but at the same time, like she holds her own. Like she'll get right back on Twitter and like she'll clap back, and that's why I like her. I wish we could see more of her, but
Well, you're right. You're right about what you said earlier. This show, it doesn't necessarily make you good if you're physically, a titan, or if you're a little smaller. That Rogan kid from a couple of years ago, didn't he get eliminated quite early because he couldn't run? Whatever the
hmm
course was. So that guy looked like he was super physical and he would do really well, and he didn't. And then you got girls like Ashley, $1 million Mitchell. I mean, you would have never thought that too. So. And
right.
Nani, I never thought Nani would last.
Right. Nani, I feel like Nani is very underestimated because,
Mm,
as you saw like during the challenge during last night's episode, she almost beat KC,
mm.
so this show proves that you can't judge a book by its cover. Jenna is this is why I love Jenna, because
Are you
she is
which
such an
Jenna?
underdog.
Are you speaking about Jenna that was spawned off from the San Francisco season? Is that the one? The one that used to
No,
be?
Jenna,
Who's
who's
Jenna?
with Zach, who's
Oh,
engaged to
okay.
Zach.
Yeah. Well, that's the same girl
Yeah.
because she was with that guy Jay, and he didn't finish that one season. I think that's where Jenna
Yeah.
comes from. I think that's where she
Is
started.
it? I didn't watch her season, so
Yeah,
I can't remember.
She was in the Corey San Francisco season, but she wasn't a main
Okay.
cast. She was a girlfriend. And
Gotcha.
you are exactly right. You would have never thought this.
Yeah, she is, and that's why they call her the Barbie Beast. People thought that she was like this layup,
Mm,
and her first, I want to say 3 or 4 seasons, she made it to the final. She's never won one, but she's made it to the final so many times.
mm. Yeah, she's good TV too. So, well, thank you, man, for talking about challenge stuff. My brother was listening to a podcast and he said it's like the sixth sport or fifth sport or something like that. So people really get into this show. I have, like I said, I spot watch it a lot of the seasons, but this season, for whatever reason, I like the cast. And I was like, oh, let me watch it every episode, and it's like a whole new world. It's
Yeah,
really
man.
really good.
I thank you so much, yeah, for letting me on. Definitely appreciate it. I love, like you said, this season is freaking crazy, man. It's
Hmm.
each episode gets better and better, and I'm so happy that it continues to reinvent itself. I'm happy that it's bringing in other reality stars into the game, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm loving
Except
it.
except for the kid that was on America's Got Talent. No, he was a little corny, wasn't he?
You know what, he was, I say this with all the rookies, they don't really know what they're getting into, and then yeah.
You knew he was a little corny because Leroy made fun of him, and Leroy's not a make fun of person, really. At least it doesn't seem like. And Leroy's jokes were hitting. He's like, "Oh yeah, he was doing Pilates."
Yeah, definitely, I
With a
remember that.
bowl of cereal. It was real funny. Last thing, as far as a tease to your channel, so you did talk to the gentleman who left the show. It was his name Leo, Lilo.
Yeah, Leo Rush.
What did you get out of him? And that's just a good tease for your show in general. Tell me what that was like,
Yeah.
because that was compelling TV. You don't really see that many times. Usually, TJ's a little more like, we don't like quitters, but this was a different situation. What did you get out of your interview with him?
Yeah, definitely. Really, really cool, down to earth guy. He has such a big platform. He was with WWE in the past. He's a professional wrestler, and he's very down to earth. I talked to him about, this past episode, but the biggest thing I got from him was, why he decided to leave the house. He pretty much said it was because of his mental health. And during
Mm-hmm.
the episode, he was talking about he was getting triggered at times because of his past, and he was saying he had no idea the reaction that he would get from just speaking out and being honest and putting himself out there. And he's really happy that he was able to use his platform to raise awareness to that. And he definitely wants to come back, though. He said he wants to come back, but he said he wants his mind is straight and that he's all good. Then he's ready to make a comeback, which I think he definitely should, because that guy is I have a feeling that guy is like a freaking beast master like no other.
Yeah, I kind of saw potential with him, so it would be good to see him come back. This season, this is how you know it's a really good season. Some of the people that have been eliminated, I like, want to see them back right away. I'd love to see Jay come back. Jay had a whatever first season,
Yeah,
not whatever, it's just they threw him in a bunch. And then this
right.
season, he made more of a mark. I'm ready to see Jay come back. And obviously, Natalie went through some stuff, so,
Hmm.
her potential is really great, on
Definitely want
Survivor.
Natalie to come back. Yeah.
So it's a good batch of people, and I've been impressed so far. So, anyways, if we follow your social media or your website, how do we get to your show?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Benny J Adams. The Instagram link is or the YouTube link is in my profile, and then also I run a challenge fan page, and that is at Challenge News Now. And then you can also find the YouTube channel in the link in the bio. And the podcast will soon be on Spotify and other platforms as well, hopefully soon. So you guys can listen on Spotify and hopefully Apple, and yeah.
As I'm learning, the process takes such a long time. I come from
It
regular
takes a
radio.
very long time.
And this is why I'm grumpy, Benny, because I'm just too old for this shit. But I digress, and it is nice to see it grow, and then just to talk about talking points that are fun for you. You know what I mean? I think that's what
Yeah,
makes it fun. You chose the challenge because that's like your thing, and then
so much fun, man.
yeah, and I think that's kind of what works, especially with the internet with all this crazy content. It's nice to like pick stuff you enjoy and just riff, and
Mm.
that's what this was all about. Pop culture POV. Check out Benny Adams. I'm Ronnie Jr. And thank you for your time, man.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.